Welcome, a very good welcome to this sixth Premiere webinar. Today we will have a webinar of 1.5 hours, and the title of this webinar is Put Yourself in the Shoes of an Evaluator. How to effectively integrate the multi-actor approach in your Horizon Europe proposal. We welcome everybody. We know that many teams across Europe are very busy preparing for multi-actor projects. And today we will focus on the evaluation. As I said, this is number 6. This is webinar number 6. We have very interesting speakers, which I welcome very much. Great for having you here. You see the pictures here on the slide. I start from the right-hand side. I welcome Alina Butu. She is a very experienced evaluator of research and innovation actions and innovation actions. We have Sonja Karoglan Todorovic with us. She's an evaluator of CSA thematic networks. And we have Anna Maria Augustin. She's an evaluator of very different types of projects, but also programs. So she really has an overview of the different ways of doing evaluations in theory and practice. And then from our Premiere team, we have Jordi Peach with us. He is based in Catalonia. He is our webinar facilitator today, and he will give an introduction based on analysis. And Mark Redman will then facilitate the panel as soon as we have it. So my name is Susanne von Münchhausen. I'm a member of the coordinating team of the Premiere project. I work with Eberswalde University. I'm based in Germany. So equip yourself with expert insights to make your proposal more competitive and impactful. So that's what we are going to do today. This is number 6 of a series of webinars, so you will find the other webinars in our YouTube channel. We started in December, and now we finish in June with this set of different types of webinars, and we will have another set of webinars towards the end of the year in preparation of the next call. Familiarize with your topics. We have very interesting speakers in the different webinars, so you're more than welcome to check and listen to them. This is all part of our Premiere's Cluster 6 engagement strategy for the call topics 25. Have a look on our website and you will find a lot of different tools and events and things going on. And if you have questions, feel free to contact us via email. LinkedIn channel, here a reference, and all the different tools, presentations, and so on are on Zenodo. So just to get a little bit of an idea why this multi-actor approach is so important. There is a quite big number, 30 call topics with mandatory multi-actor approach. And this chart here shows the distribution by type of project. This is all about the cluster 6. Submissions are due in September 25. So we see for coordination and support actions, 3 with multi-actor approach and even more with no multi-actor approach as an eligibility condition required. Innovation action is the largest is a large number also, 8 call topics. And the biggest number is actually 19 call topics for research and innovation actions. And some of these are for 2 projects granted. So it's really important to know exactly what to do when writing the proposal and addressing this multi-actor eligibility condition. Premiere has a lot to offer. So on our website, we've got a multi-actor Q&A, we've got a stakeholder and actors engagement checklist, various tools, 4 cartoons, which present different ways of proposal coordination. On our YouTube channel, explanations related to the multi-actor approach and statements from multi-actor experts, and as I said, the different webinars from this series. And via our networks, we have contributions, engagement, things going on with the Commission as well as with different networks and seminars. This webinar is definitely special. Premiere responds to the needs of proposal developers. So many of you in earlier engagements ask us, can you help us a little bit more with the evaluation? Our guest evaluators share their way of assessing the multi-actor approach. These are examples, but you have the opportunity to really meet practice experienced evaluators who tell a little bit how they do it, and you can really benefit from their experiences. And register yourself as an evaluator. This doesn't help for now, but maybe for next year. You really learn a lot, and the Commission always is interested in finding new evaluators who have a particular eye and interest in the multi-actor approach. And with that, I would like to hand over and start the 6th webinar and ask Jordi to give his introduction, and then we have our speakers, which we welcome very much, and yeah, interesting to hear. If you have questions, if you have comments, please put them in the chat. We will follow the chat very carefully and pick some up, or we respond them. So there is really an opportunity to engage with us in the next 1.5 hours.
Okay, so off we go, and thank you, Susanne. This is just an introduction of some of the concepts, some of the terms that belong to the specific part of evaluation of multi-actor approach proposals. This is just a quick introduction before we go into the main panel today. Next, please. Premiere, since we started the project, defined the framework that it's presented here, a very clear three-piece framework that addresses the three main areas where multi-actor belongs and is relevant in terms of quality and preparation. So next, please. Programming of the multi-actor approach. This is where the topic texts are drafted, are completed, where the info days are developed. This is the domain of policy officers from the different DGs involved in multi-actor topics. DG Agri, DG Environment, DG Research, Transfer and Development, and of course also DG MAA, for example. Implementation of the multi-actor approach. This sits within the European Research Executive Agency, RIA, and RIA project officers are the responsible of running this part of implementing and carrying out the process of multi-actor projects and any actually type of proposals and projects. We will have later with us Astrid Giffard, who is the project officer for Premiere, and will be giving some insight from this perspective. Also relevant in this area are national contact points. National contact points are, of course, distributed across the whole of the European Union. And the role is to support, inform, facilitate the process of proposal preparation in continuous contact with RIA, with the policy officers. And highlighted in yellow here, external experts who happen to be taking the role of evaluators. So these are the focus of today's meeting. And next, please. Finally, proposal development. So, of course, the whole structure set up by the European Commission and the supporting agencies needs of proposal coordinators, of consortium partners that will be developing the proposals, and there is also a complementary role by different type of support intermediaries and other informed and interested stakeholders. Next, please. Let's see this in a cycle. So we first start, and this happened in the middle of May, with the publication of the work program of Horizon. In Horizon Cluster 6, also Horizon Missions, etc. A number of topics, Susanne just gave some details on those numbers, happen to have the multi-actor approach eligibility criterion. So programming, as we said in the hands of DGs, is where multi-actor starts and is determined for some of the topics. Next, there is a process of applying for funding, which starts, of course, with information and access to know which are the opportunities and which are the actual topics where multi-actor will be belonging. And here, the main relevant element would be the funding and tenders portal, where we have all the information, and the info days that are organized first at the European level, and then, of course, many countries, many regions in Europe organize their own. The central part of preparing a proposal with multi-actor approach, it's when the preparation of this proposal takes place. This is where the multi-actor approach is designed and where the multi-actor approach starts, because that's the strategy of starting the multi-actor approach and involving these actors from the very beginning, from the design of the proposal. And here we see some of the examples of the cartoons of Premiere showing what happens in this part of proposal preparation. Next, please. And then, of course, we go to the central part of today's meeting, which is the evaluation of the multi-actor approach, and eventually for some, grant signature. This is conducted by RIA. Here we have a little picture of their offices. And the meetings, which used to be presential in almost all cases, and in the latest years and in the latest work program periods, most of the evaluation also takes place online, with the evaluators meeting thus online. Next, please. There is a very important element in return to the proposal preparation called the ESR report, Evaluation Summary Report. This is what every single proposal that has been submitted and considered eligible for funding will be receiving a report presenting what has been the qualification, what have been the criteria that the evaluators have been considering, and of course a specific scoring resulting on that proposal, which will for some mean grant signature, and for others will be an important element for future opportunities. This ESR report, of course, will be including mention to the multi-actor approach. This is sure something will be mentioned later. And the last one here, please. So next. As I say, eventually some of these proposals will be receiving a grant signature and will be going into grant management for a multi-actor project that will be taking place in a period of probably 3 to 4 years, 5 in the case of Premiere. And here is a photo of the Premiere consortium meeting, the last one that we held a few months ago. Next, please. Let's focus now. Yeah, was a little, yeah. Next again. So what? Who are the relevant actors in this evaluation process? Next, please. You can click 1, 2, 3 times. So we have normally 3 to 4 evaluators that are selected for a topic. There is also one external expert that will be having the role of rapporteur. That means that out of the considerations of each of the evaluators will be drafting this ESR, this important final document. And RIA also is represented by a project officer responsible for this topic, who will be playing an assistant role into the process of evaluation, clarifying doubts, and assisting in general the process for evaluators and rapporteur. And there are 2 complementary actors as well, policy offer and next please, policy officer, sorry, and an evaluation supervisor for the whole call of evaluations. Those are kind of side roles, but not central during the evaluation, but also important to mention. Next, please. So the evaluators also are working on their support, on their instructions, and under a number of documents that are prepared specifically used to support the process of evaluation. So let's briefly see them. Some of them, as you see with these asterisks, are available also online. So the topic text, obviously, as it is on the work program. The definition of the multi-actor approach and its 7 requirements, also in the introduction of the work program. but also the standard briefing, the slides that the evaluators receive to know how the process of evaluation will be taking place, some specific slides normally for the multi-actor approach as well, and a standard evaluation form that is also available online. And normally each topic has also a grid with some indications that the policy, the project officers facilitate for evaluators to go through the evaluation of all the points in the proposals. So next, please. How does this, what is the actual process of evaluation? What happens during evaluation? You can click a couple of times, maybe, or 3 times, Bernardo here. So normally it takes a maximum of 5 months. That starts with allocation of proposals to evaluators. There is always a process of ensuring the absence of conflict of interest, so evaluators can evaluate proposals that have no connection at all with them. So that's a process that is always done. And the process starts first in a duration normally of 2 to 3 weeks with the individual evaluations, what are called the IERs, sorry, individual evaluation report. You have it here at the bottom. So each evaluator prepares the IERs for the proposals that they are handed, that they are asked to evaluate. And once that part is completed, and once the rapporteur starts drafting a common ESR, considering the opinions of the different evaluators, there is going to be this consensus group. That was the slide that we saw before. This normally takes place. It will be a round of normally 1 to 5 days, depending on the number of proposals that are available. And normally there is a time of up to 4 hours to go through each of the to go through every individual proposal and develop and agree on the content text for this ESR draft. Finally, next please. There is going to be what is called the panel review. So when the whole evaluation process is completed for a topic with all the proposals reviewed, there is always a final quality checking, cross-reading to confirm that the quality and the way that all the different proposals have been evaluated is surely equal. Next, please. This is where the work ends for the evaluators. And finally, just my last slide here. Also, we've been mentioning that quite a lot of this information is available for everyone, and it's recommended that you have a look into it. Next, please. First of all, this is the web page of the Funding and Tenders portal. In the section of guidance and documents, you have already a number of the documents that we have seen. And next, please. You can also look another time, I think, Bernardo, I'm sorry. Yeah. So also work as an expert is a section open on the Funding and Tenders portal. This is where you can also offer yourself as an evaluator for multi-actor approach. There is a demand of evaluators with multi-actor approach expertise. And here you will find some specific guiding documents and videos for evaluators that are publicly available, so you can also check them. And as I say, multi-actor profiles are in demand, so apply to be an evaluator in future rounds. And the last point I think here is that also if you're interested to see that, I mean, the transparency is to that detail that the list of contracted evaluators every year is also published and available in one of the links on this site. So the next slide, I think it's the closing slide with some of the links that Susanne already shared. So these are some of the terminology. Maybe there's going to be some other terms coming out in the panel now, and so I hand now to the panel and to Mark Riedman, who will be conducting this conversation with all our evaluators, and we thank them for being here.
Thank you very much, Jordi. Thank you very much indeed. And of course, a warm welcome to all of our participants this morning, and a special warm welcome and a great thanks to our 3 panelists. Susanna has already introduced them, and she's highlighted especially the diversity of the experience that Anna, Alina, and Sonia are bringing to today's webinar. But the main part, the main core of our webinar today is to focus very specifically on the experiences of our three panelists of evaluating the multi-actor approach. And we've got approximately 1 hour for this. And then towards the end of this also, we'll bring in Astrid from RIA, our policy officer, who also can be contributing to the evolving, to the developing discussion. But what I'd like to do first of all is to imagine that, so our evaluators have they been selected? There's a selection process, and they receive their first, the batch of proposals. And my question is, what do you as evaluators look for when beginning the evaluation of a multi-actor project proposal? If you have however many proposals, where do you begin actually that evaluation process? What are the kind of the typical indicators of the multi-actor approach that you begin looking for, to begin unpacking, to begin understanding where the multi-actor approach is actually sitting, how well it's been developed, and ultimately preparing yourself to evaluate it? Anna, where do you begin?
Thank you, Mark. I think there are two things actually which I look first. So one is the composition of the project team. So what are the type of actors that will be involved into the project delivery, what they represent. I check the legal person of each. Sometimes it can be also confusing because you can have like a platform already representing one actor, but this is a mix of different actors within the platform. So this might be challenging. And I'm doing background research on those type of. And the second thing is whether the consortium has been consulting this on the outset before doing the proposal, whether there is evidence of some process of forming this multi-actor approach, and whether they are clear about their objective needs. So sometimes they provide a short description of this in the proposal.
That's very interesting. You mentioned a kind of background research. What do you mean there? Just a quick search for partners on for their websites? What does that involve?
Yes, on the website, and what is also evident in the proposal.
Okay. Yeah. In the Part A description. Yeah. Okay. Super.
Yes.
Sonia, where do you start?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Well, I usually start from the needs of the user. So there is a reason why the project is developed. And this reason should be, at least from my understanding, the need of end users. And for me, it must be clear, so why the project is developed, so what urgent needs or opportunities of the end users the project is addressing. And then from there, I'm going to background information, usually find in the methodology. And one thing that is really very important for me, well, to look how the proposal was developed. So how the team, how the consortium find out what are the needs and in which way the end users were involved in the process of the preparation of the project. Yeah, they must be involved, and I must understand how they were involved. And then, of course, I go into other details, yeah, like looking in the consortium composition and their roles and so on. Yeah, but personally, I always start with the needs.
Very interesting, and also interesting that you focused upon this process of formation and development, which is also converging, is similar to Anna's approach. Alina, I mean, again, you have a different experience. You're coming from a different perspective. You're a researcher. I mean, Sonia, for example, is maybe has a broader sort of background. You're coming very much as a researcher. Where do you start digging into the multi-actor approach?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm delighted to be with you today and to share from my experience in evaluation. So when I evaluated the proposal claiming the follow the multi-actor approach, my starting point is the coherence. I want to know if the MAA genuinely is embedded through the proposal or is merely mentioned as a formality. Of course, like previous Ana Maria and Sonia explain, and I usually begin with part A to review the composition of consortia. A credible multi-actor approach proposal include this mixed balance of the actors. And when we speak about proposal which have the research as a main point, we should find there academic institution, business institution, farmers, advisory, but all is related with the topic of the proposal, with the objective of the proposal. The second is the part B, and here in all section is something that should be righted. Under excellence, I look for sign that the proposal address real world needs. And the objective, if that objective have been co-developed with stakeholders. If we speak about methodology of research, I want to find there something, how this methodology will be developed in the implementation together with the stakeholders. In the impact section, I assess whether the outputs are designed to be practically useful, and accessible to end user. In the implementation, I verify whether the involvement of different actors is integrated across the work plan, and usually an isolated work package for this part of co-creation is not also a solution, and should have more than task of dissemination. In the budget, we should have some resources for multi-actor approach, and always we should keep in the mind the 7 core of the multi-actor requirements. So, practical relevance, co-defined objectives, co-creation, active engagement, use-oriented output, knowledge sharing, and ensure that the results is easy to apply in practice. Is the same but applied on research.
Thank you for that. I mean, thank you also for reminding us or bringing budget into discussion. I think this is also rather interesting, and I'm curious also to know from Sonia and Anna at what point you also would look at budget and what characteristics of the budget you're looking for to demonstrate multi-actor, where you're looking for evidence of multi-actor, given, of course, that budget construction is influenced by so many other factors, such as the geographical location, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm curious to know how you might look at the budget and interpret the budget. Sonia.
Okay. Yeah, of course, we look into the budget, as you said, and it's we can find, so to say, the evidence of of a good multi-actor approach also in the budget. I mean, it's clear what you, Mark, already said, that there are many factors that are influencing the budget. But for me, I look at some small specific things, like for instance, if we give the relevant role to some practitioners, for instance, or if we include AP operational groups, then I look into the evidence. Are there somewhere in the budget? Because if you say we will cooperate with operational groups, but you don't allocate any budget for their participation, then, well, it's already not a very good sign. Yeah. So these are maybe small things that look small, but are very important. Yeah. And also, I mean, you look into the share of the budget, because sometimes, you know, you see the composition of consortia where you see some partners because consortia thinks it would be good to have maybe some farmers organization, and then they found a small farmers organization, and then they have very meager part of the budget, or not at all. Yeah, so these are the things that I'm looking for in the budget. I mean, of course, you look at the distribution of the budget between the partners. This is also the indication, but it's more this really finer, tiny things that might really show that the consortium really applied a good multi-actor approach.
Now, that's very interesting. Again, this attention to detail, because often budget discussions can be at the later stage of proposal development, and some of these finer details can sometimes be overlooked. But it's very important that you highlight the importance of a budget for reinforcing, for strengthening the multi-actor characteristics of a proposal. Anna, what's your approach to looking at budget?
Concerning budget, I share some content that Sonia has. In addition, I look very much at the person months and how they translate into budget and the role of partner in the project. And sometimes what I see is that projects have so many partners and they have a very low number of person months and very low budget. And sometimes the tasks that they have also are more like there could be some subcontracting rather than making it a committed partner. So this is very visible in some proposals. And then sometimes when the project is implemented, I can also see the flaws of it when I evaluate it. So that's I think, in short, about the budget.
But interesting that you mentioned, I mean, subcontracting. I mean, subcontracting is obviously one financial mechanism for engaging maybe a greater range of partners. We've also got, I mean, linked third party. We've also got potential for cascade funding where it's identified in the topic, et cetera, et cetera. So interesting that you brought that into discussion. But also very interesting that you've focused on PMs, person months. What, in your judgment, is a kind of an indication of a meaningful engagement? I mean, what's the level of PMs where you have an alarm bell that begins ringing and you say, I'm not sure that this actually represents something meaningful?
I think for me, it's usually below 10 person months, because besides the actual role in the project, there's a lot of administrative and reporting, and also ensuring employment of people in the project at the national level to comply with the national rules. And normally this is labor law, and every country has it a little bit different. And to make it meaningful and not to have like very short freelance somebody working, it's better to have longer term commitment in the project. And if you want to have short term, then it's better to have subcontracting. Let's say somebody just to make videos or to organize a conference, because I've seen proposals where partners are just having these tasks, and this is very little. It's better to subcontract it or to have a bigger set of tasks for a partner.
Very interesting. Just before we move on, I'm just curious if Sonia or Alina have any additional observations or comments on looking at the distribution of PMs, of person months, or the allocation of person months.
Yeah, should I go?
Please, Sonia.
Yeah. Well, it's very tricky with the PMs because, you know, of course, there are big differences in the wages between the countries. Yeah, you have countries really with the average wage that is well much higher than in some other countries. But it's true, yeah, that when you see really partners with just a couple of PMs, it looks suspicious. And, you know, many consortia tend to have as much partners as possible, which is also because I have a feeling that some of them think that this is also kind of sign of a good multi-actor project, yeah, to have many partners, which I would say it's not the case, at least not for me. So it's rather tricky thing. It's not that simple, especially yeah for some very specific task, yeah, as we heard, yeah, also from Anna Maria, that you see partners that are maybe more suitable, yeah, for base subcontracting parties than really partners, yeah.
But a very interesting conclusion that it's not about the number of partners, but the quality of the engagement and quality of the engagement in a multi-actor context. We must move on, but Alina, do you have any final observation on PMs?
Yes. We know that PM are allocated by work packages, and usually the multi-actor approach is visible in task, and it's difficult to measure the dimension of budget allocated in PM for this activity. But it's very useful to have in the proposal a short phrase with description of this part of the dimension of multi-actor approach in PMs.
That's very interesting, because that also leads us on to my next question. And that's, what are your recommendations to applicants to make the multi-actor aspects of the proposal stand out? Now, you've introduced us to the way that you approach the evaluation, but now what's your recommendation to applicants? How really to make their proposal shine as a multi-actor proposal and go well beyond, as Alina said earlier, of being simply superficial or even somehow a fake, a false approach, which can be done. I mean, proposals can be very nicely crafted with all the right words in the right places, but actually how to show that it's really, you know, how to make that multi-actor dimension stand out. Sonia.
Yeah, as you said, there are some excellent projects, project proposals looking as a multi-actor approach. We have very skilled people writing these proposals using the right words, and sometimes, yeah, it's a challenging task also for us as evaluators. I would say after many years of digging into this multi-actor approach, you gain kind of feeling, yeah, already whether it is really a genuine multi-actor approach or just the well-prepared proposal, yeah. I would say, well, if I may give a couple of, well, ideas and tips, yeah, so how to make the proposal stand out. And I'm now talking more, yeah, from the expertise from these thematic networks, because they're a bit specific, well, for maybe for participants that are not quite familiar with thematic networks. There's a very specific types of horizon projects where actually the farmers or farm advisors are actually the main actors, yeah, so that their needs are really well, most important in the projects. And so we are, I mean, the thematic networks are built around specific subjects, sometimes like, I don't know, some disease or some production type or whatever. And there we always have the situation where the consortia looking into existing knowledge that is maybe not well known between the end users. And then, there is this co-creation process, where the consortia are looking also into the practical knowledge, and all that is boiled into some materials that are suitable for the end user, for the farmers as the end users. And I think that's what we very often see, that so the end users are treated more, like so not as equal partners, so the practical knowledge that they are bringing is very often neglected. So if you look into composition of consortia, very often you see in this type of projects, you see consortia dominated by research partners. So very often, so the knowledge of the end users is not taken into account, and they are merely treated as I would say, study objects. And this is really something that, is not a good sign of multi-actor approach. So, because we want to see how the existing knowledge of end users, maybe some innovative solutions that they developed that are often adapted to their local situation and needs, how they are brought into the proposal. And in this co-creation process, so from one side we have this research and the knowledge from the research, and at the other side we have this practical knowledge, and we look at how this is brought together. So I would say this is really very important, and this is something that we often miss in the project. And it is also very often when the project proposals are not built upon the real needs, because you see, there are some nice ideas about the research, so how can we prepare the proposal and introduce this research ideas and needs, and we are lacking this, I would say, the other leg, that is really very crucial.
No, but it's very interesting, and especially also given that there's a lot of competition for these thematic networks. I mean, these are very, very thematic, very competitive topics. So finding this added value and really focus on making your proposal shine in front of the others is very, very important indeed. I think also it's nice that you focused on also on one particular project type, the so-called thematic networks, and we have some different types of thematic network now. We've got those focused on operational groups, we've got the advisory networks, we still have our classical ones as well as predefined. I'm interested now to hear from Anna and Alina. Again, making how to make the multi-actor aspects of your proposal stand out, but maybe thinking about other project types, thinking about the research and innovation actions where clearly the presence and activity of the researchers is fundamentally important, which is not so important in the thematic networks. And of course, also the innovation actions where we're moving closer to the market, and maybe we are looking for greater engagement of the private sector, of commercial entities, etc., etc. How to make your proposals stand out? I'd like to begin with Anna.
Okay, so I would say that first of all, you can start to look at this community that you are forming just a little bit aside from the proposal, because this is some kind of community of practice or network that will be working in this project, and it will be also interacting with other communities of practice that will become stakeholders in the project. So it can be like a network at large. And when you start to work on the proposal, try to use diagnostic tools. And sometimes I see in the proposal that some applicants have done it. They are clear about the needs of each partner and need of end user and so on. So this is the starting point. And then as you grow with the project, also try to use other tools to self-evaluate. and also your outreach, so with whom you will be in touch throughout the project. This is very important. And I would say, yeah, it depends also on the type of projects, because in some you can, for instance, deal much more with the value chain. So it's very important to do the value chain analysis prior to submitting a proposal. Some projects have very strong focus on research. In this case, also a background check of the state of the art in the area is very important. And then I think when you have to deal with commercial aspects, commercializations and uptake in some projects, maybe there you have to be very clear if you are able to really reach out to the potential investors or have some other mechanism, because I see this is often lacking in the proposals, the relevant know-how and the connections in the consortium. So it's good to bring some partners that deal with it directly.
Well, that's, I mean, that's interesting. So I was just looking. There was a question in the chat from Diana Molina, and she's asking about going strategies for sort of meaningful engagement of farmers. Our colleague Jordi has responded. But I think also you've raised a very interesting point, Anna, is it's not, when we're talking about multi-actor, we're not only talking about the meaningful engagement of farmers and foresters and advisors, but you've mentioned investors, for example, which is really very interesting. And I think that, we need to take, particularly in the context of innovation actions, where we're aiming to take innovations from, low to middle TRL levels to significantly higher. It's those rather interesting additional actors that we might not necessarily focus upon certainly we are not focusing upon in other project types. So thanks for bringing that into discussion. Alina, to you, making your project proposal, your multi-actor project proposal really shine and stand out.
So should be precise and transparent when you write the proposal. Clearly describe how is involved in the capacity, what is the stage and how, why their role matters in the proposal. And always should be adapt the strategy for multi-actor approach to the type of proposal. And now some recommendation from my point of view for each type of proposal. When we speak about research innovation action, a proposal should be focused on codifying the research priorities, ensure the real life needs, shape the research agenda, and the results should be validated by the end user. But don't be excessively open to this part of multi-actor, including actors that don't need to be there. If a research project is concentrate on, I don't know, nanoparticle, it's not necessary to have research in history. Sometimes there are artificial add some actors in description. Now speaking about innovation action, and Ana Maria somehow touched this subject, should be highlight the co-development, the pilot action, the uptake in the real world of technology, and here we speak of technology with high TRL. Should be made clear how practitioners implement and benefit by the innovation. If in a project is not usually meet this situation, but sometimes there are market actors which are not related with the technology which is described in the project. So when we speak about TRL 7 or more, we need to see in the proposal who will take the market distribution of the technology. Maybe only some ideas about coordination and the support action. Here we speak about prioritizing structure of knowledge exchange. So we should have here all types of actors which are involved in knowledge exchange and in dialogue, in capacity building, and should emphasize on capturing and amplify the practices based on these insights.
No, thank you very much. I think between the three of you and your diverse experiences, I mean, I think you have highlighted very nicely that there is clearly a need to adjust our interpretation of the multi-actor approach, and therefore our crafting and implementation according to project type. You have each individually put emphasis upon different aspects of the multi-actor approach as outlined, as defined within the definition sitting in the work program, and of course the 7 requirements sitting in the work program. So I think, to my mind especially, I think you've highlighted this issue very very nicely. I'd like to just take a quick look at the chat, where there's a few questions. A very interesting question from Ludmila. In general, are there any types of organization who you would not recommend to engage as project partners? Any thoughts on that? Sonia, I see you smiling immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't say there is kind of general rule, or when we as evaluators see some specific type of organization, we say no, that's not good. I also seen a question about the number of partners. I think somebody asked also, yeah, what is the number, what we recommend. I would say there are no rules, yeah. And as we already discussed, and as other colleagues said, it really depends. So which partners and how many partners you have, it really has to be relevant, yeah, for the objective of your projects and for the objective of the calls. So we are not penalizing proposal because they have too many or too little partners. It is important that they are relevant, that we see the relevance. So for instance, if we're talking about some project, it might be relevant also to have, I don't know, maybe consumers organization, which are sometimes neglected also, and some other types of partners. But no, I wouldn't say there are some no partners.
Yeah, no, I think that's clear. But also there's an interesting question, which is the opposite of that. And especially in many projects, generally, there is this feeling that somehow having a strategic partner in the consortium, an organization which has a very strong, relevant background, which maybe has a high visibility in the research world, that this is somehow a plus. Does that, and this is an approach which we find often applied, and which we hear discussed in the context of forming consortia. Is that also valid in the multi-actor approach? Are you influenced by seeing a particular partner who you know has a particularly strong background in this area, or are you looking more for that diversity, and especially, are you also looking for and valuing newcomers, people who are maybe completely outside of a box, who've not engaged, we've seen engaged with Horizon before, but are now present? What's your feeling on this? Alina?
Yes, very interesting. Of course, when in a consortium you have a strong partner with high visibility, with long experience, it's a plus. But usually, if it's explained the position of newcomers, it's very easy to see the involvement. As I recommended before, and now I recommend to explain, to be easy to understand which is the contribution of each partner. Because when we read about one sonor partner, is not necessary to have something right. It's like our brain, it's know very well who is. But if for a partner which is not known by the label, is written the clear words, the clear description, the problem is solved, so it's not a minus.
One of the concerns which we often hear about new partners is they may be relevant, but sometimes the question is raised about capacity. Do they have the capacity to make that meaningful, necessary contribution to the project? Do you feel that a good multi-actor proposal, which is including a range of new and innovative, novel, new actors, partners, should also acknowledge that there may be some capacity issues? Should there be some effort made to build capacity? Maybe the capacity building is actually part of the multi-actor methodology. What do you feel about this? And here I'm looking to Anna, because I guess this is an issue maybe that you encounter in other forms of evaluation that you're doing, this question of capacity.
Yes, I agree with you, Mike, that this is very much also about capacity building. And again, as I already said, we can treat this consortium and all the stakeholders around the project as a kind of community of practice or network. And the capacity of it evolves over the time. And also sometimes it goes beyond a single project, because there can be multiple projects building upon similar consortia. Sometimes there's somebody new. Some partners are continuously working together for many, many years. And this definitely is something to foster the capacity.
Super, thank you very much, Anna. Let's keep moving the discussion forward. There's a few more questions coming in the chat, but also I have another question for you. Jordi explained earlier very nicely and very clearly the evaluation process. And he explained that there is an evaluation panel whereby involving, say, 3 or 4 external independent experts. Now, in a multi-actor, when we're evaluating for multi-actor, often we encounter that there is maybe one of those experts has a particular understanding or particular expertise in multi-actor, whereas some of the other evaluators may have less or even no experience, or this might even be the first time that they have encountered the multi-actor approach, particularly, for example, in RIAs, where maybe they have the research, they have the technical expertise, but they've not encountered multi-actor. Now, you as a multi-actor specialist, you will often, I'm sure, have engaged in discussions with your colleagues on the panel, explaining to them the multi-actor, and you may be defending the multi-actor approach against their strong arguments that, which may come from an alternative place. Now, this is a reality, and maybe our proposal writers should also be thinking about this. So as an evaluator, or as evaluators specialized in the multi-actor approach, how can a proposal help you to defend it? How can a proposal help you to better argue that this deserves a higher scoring for its multi-actor quality? What are the elements that you need to see in that proposal in order to argue for its merit, for its worth, for its quality? Alina, back to you.
Yes, there are few elements there which help us to demonstrate that the proposal is high quality. And here what makes a difference is strategic involvement. The proposal explains why non-academic actors are involved or how they participate to enhance the project relevance, feasibility, and usability. Their presence is justified, not something incidental. Another point is operationalization co-creation. So in work plan should be include a concrete mechanism of collaboration to have something like a co-design workshop, stakeholder testing, multi-actor validation in loops, iterative feedback process across multiple work packages. And early engagement, which was already discussed here. I don't insist on to have the input of multi-actor in objective, in methodology, in results when we write the proposal. User-oriented outputs. So the deliverable should be designed with end user and be in a clear language, in an appropriate format, and this should be written in the proposal with practical application. Maybe the last is related to the clarity in role and contribution. If we have in the proposal the presentation about this point, we as evaluator can demonstrate other evaluators that the proposal it's a good proposal to be founded.
Yeah, no, super. Thank you very much. And I think again, it's I like this idea of proposal writers thinking about the evaluators actually as also being partners in the process, because as a multi-actor as multi-actor experts, we are interested in promoting, in pursuing the best quality multi-actor project proposals as possible. So there is some interaction potentially within this evaluation process. Sonia, I guess that in your experience of evaluating thematic networks, you've maybe had less of this kind of tension. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, it's very often challenging, to work with 2 or 3 other evaluators, of which some really don't have much experience with multi-actor approach. And usually what we see, they say, yeah, well, there is a good consortium composition, or sometimes we say, they are living labs, so it must be a good multi-actor approach. So, which is not obviously, I mean, it's important, but it's much more than this. And what I would suggest to colleagues preparing the proposals, really always to look these 7 requirements, and somehow check your proposal against these 7 requirements. So start with a real need. You have to explain us very clearly, why are you developing this proposal? What is the need? Then we have to understand also what is the role of each actor. So that's very often we are missing the clear description about the role and justification for involvement of some partners, yeah, when you look in the context of the core requirements or project concept, yeah. So we must understand what are their roles and what is the justification, why these partners, yeah, because we discussed previously also about some partners that are maybe not that experienced. We must understand why these partners and what are they doing, what will they do in the project, yeah. So don't overlook the role and the knowledge of non-scientific actors. That's very important, yeah, that we have other actors. And I would say if you go through the 7 requirements and if you are confident that you really answer to the 7 requirements, then I would say you are on a good track, yeah, for the good multi-actor approach.
Super, excellent. And very nice you brought the 7 requirements back into discussion. Very robust, very nice advice. I'm going to bring Astrid into the discussion in a minute, but first of all, I'd just like to hear from Anna as well about your experiences, your observation, your recommendations.
Thank you. I think that regardless of the type of action, there is sometimes problem with the dominance of the research partners. And I can see it when I read the proposal in the language that is used and overemphasis on certain type of outputs that will come up with the project when it's implemented. Sometimes it might be good to clarify in advance with different partners what you actually want to have out of this project for you, not only because of the compliance with the proposal call criteria, because besides the call, there are other rules that govern the partners, institutions, or other organizations that are involved. So, for instance, researchers have to produce scientific publications because this is part of their regular job, and the project will be used towards this. When you have a company, they don't want to produce papers. They want something else, depends on the type of company. So be clear about it while writing the proposal.
Super, thank you very, very much, Anna. Astrid, you've heard some very interesting insights and perspectives. You're working for the Research Executive Agency. You have a lot of accumulated experience now of observing, of managing evaluation of multi-actor project proposals. What's your observations on the discussion, and are there any points that you feel do still need clarifying, and maybe are there some highlights of the discussion that you as a RIA officer would like to feel need to be highlighted?
Thank you, Mark. Good morning to everybody. So indeed, I really liked the point made by Alina on the coherence of the proposal, because it's really important that the work plan is really in line with the objective set in the method, in the excellence part, where you really have defined the needs from end users, and that you have put in practice the right tools and approaches to facilitate this engagement of actors. So in my view, this really this is key, that the multi-actor approach is integrated in the whole part of the proposal, and you really have well reflected in the work plan and in the task description the objective and the methodology that has been described earlier. And I think that it was also very interesting to see the approaches of the evaluators, where they start and how they they value the engagement of the different actors in the proposal. So very interesting for me to see, indeed, the necessity to engage also with the other evaluators to agree on the consensus for the the scoring and the comments of the proposal. So that was my my feedback on the discussion.
Super. No, thank you very, very much indeed. I think I'm going to return now to the chat and to the Q&A. And this this involves us actually going back and digging in to some of the previous topics of discussion. This question of PMs and budget. And we have Ana from Ana Ventura from Portugal, who again is raising this point about, you know, how can we interpret budget and PMs in the context of very, very different situations across the member states, you know, and especially as we start bringing in a much wider range of actors. Again, I mean, how to make sense of this, and are there any additional comments that you would you'd make? Again, any tips and tricks? One of the things that we've done previously, particularly where we've used subcontracting, actually, rather than work with a fixed lump sum, you know, for all of the subcontractors, we actually go to the country correction coefficients used in Marie Curie, which is a scale of percentages, and we adjust budgets according to that. So my feeling is there are possibly some mechanisms, but whether or not that degree of detail would be or should be written into a proposal, I'm not sure. Any additional comments or thoughts on this issue of using the budget and PM allocation to unpack, explore the genuine, the authenticity of the multi-actor approach?
Really, on the PM and the differences between countries, I think this is really depending on the project. So I'm not really comfortable to give a definite answer on that.
Yep. Anybody else?
I want to make a comment here. So should be, I believe this is something that should be known, that evaluator don't penalize for value of PM. Even they have an observation, they write in the report, and in the contracting phase, this is verified and clarified. So never evaluator will decrease the score because PM is the value of PM is different from something that you know. Now speaking about the number of the PM allocated for one task or work packages for one partner or others, here evaluators are very interested to see if for each same task, for example, the partner which have the same involvement have the same number of PM, and make a deep evaluation if can be related with the number of team, of the experience of team, so on. And also can come with some comments in the report.
Yeah, no, super. Thank you for clarifying that. We've, I think we've got time for a few more questions before I hand back to Suzanne in order to close the webinar. One question which has caught my attention is from Anda. Anda's sitting in Latvia, and she's asking a very interesting question. How do you deal with evaluating the multi-actor approach at the project scale, at larger level, and the multi-actor approach at the level of individual countries represented by the, by the consortia? Is there a distinction? Do you think about that distinction? And how do you address it? Sonia.
Yeah, well, yes, we think about it. I mean, I think about it, and I believe other evaluators think about this, because you're right. Yeah, there is this bigger picture when we look at the project as a whole, and then we also go and look at the individual countries. Yeah, so we want to see as much as possible also this multi-actor approach at the level of countries, which is not always that easy. Yeah, it depends on the type of activities that are implemented in the individual countries. Yeah, sometimes you have projects where you have certain types of activities involving maybe not all countries or some specific activities in such a countries, but it's important, yeah. So we look into it, and we ideally would like to see this also at the level of individual countries. So for instance, if we have some co-creation activities, maybe some exchanges, yeah, some learning exchanges. So this is something that we would like to see. So it's important, and we are looking into it, but we also take into account the reality that sometimes because of some specific design of some project activities, it is not possible to have this copied 100% at the level of the countries. Yeah.
Yeah. Alina and Anna, did you have any additional comments, observations? Anna.
Yes, actually, this very much depends on the call and the type of project that results from it. So what is very important are incentives for those national and local level actors to get involved. And in some calls, there are quite interesting tools like role models and replicators, living labs. So this kind of approaches are maybe much more efficient than just looking for random partners to come to a workshop. Because what is the motivation? What are the resources of people to go from one city to the other to participate, or from very remote place? So this element sometimes are very difficult to assess even in the proposal, because there's not enough space to develop details about it.
And that actually leads on to, there was another very interesting question. We were using, or I was using this term, quality of engagement. A meaningful engagement. Again, from an evaluator point of view, what are the indicators of that quality of engagement? I mean, what's your understanding of a good quality engagement in the context of a multi-actor proposal? Alina, to begin with you.
Yes, it's related to the methodology described to engage the multi-actors in proposal. And something about the previous question, never we wait to have in a proposal a same model of a multi-actor approach for all countries, because each country have specific needs, and sometimes it's not related to the country, it's related with the partner, with the subject, with the objective.
Yeah.
Yes, we should have in mind that this connection should is something that is needed to be particularized by each point.
Okay. No, super. Thank you. You answered that very, very clearly. There's one specific question here, which I think it would be, it's important for Astrid to answer and to clarify. And it's a question from Diana Molina Delgado. To what extent can end users, or to what extent can the full range of potential end users, such as associations of farmers, actually take the lead in submitting and managing research and innovation projects and proposals? What's the expectation from your perspective, Astrid?
Well, I would say that it's possible, but indeed there should be really this capacity to manage the process, to to also integrate the research dimension in the activities. So really, it's possible, but really it depends on the type of actor and this necessity to have everyone on board in the tasks and be really the driving force behind the activity.
Yeah, no, super. Thank you very, very much indeed. I'm going to hand over again to Susanna in just a minute, but before we go, Astrid, is there any final observation or comment that you would like to make before I hand back to Susanna?
No, for me the recommendation is really try to make the most of your actors to have them really integrated in your proposals, that you can really fulfill these requirements. And all the best for your proposal preparation.
Great. And so I'd just like to conclude our panel discussion with a huge thanks and warm hugs to all of our colleagues, to Anna, to Alina, and to Sonia. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing so openly and honestly. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you again in the future. And take care. So back to Susanna.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Astrid, for coming and for helping in our discussion. Thanks a lot. Many things that we've discussed today really culminate in the evaluation. And these questions we've seen are clear that there's a lot of interest in the details. Which type of actors to include, not to include, how many, how exactly, with contracts, with subcontracts, third parties, cascade funding, all these technical terms. Everything refers to reading the call topic text, selecting carefully the partners, building the consortium, the group, then addressing exactly what is expected from the call topic and making this fit to what the group needs. And this is like a line, a rationale through the different steps that need to be taken into account, which then need to be documented, written down in the sentences. And Anna explained or mentioned there is not much space. Some have only 30 pages, others have 50 pages. So this multi-actor detail really needs to be woven into everything else, the technical methodology, the technical perspective, the dissemination plan, pathway to impact, and so on. So this is not easy. And I really can recommend for the different, it's not steps because it's not one after the other. We go in circles. You have consortium, core consortium at the beginning, formation, and then you develop your idea and the methodology and so on. New partners come in. So it's a backward and forward, this development process. And I think this is exactly what refers to the first steps that Sonia mentioned, needs. I mean, new partners come in and then things change. It's all together, it's complex. And I really can invite our audience, check the other seminars, because there we've explained the multi-actor approach. We explained the 7 requirements, and we went through these different steps and focused on these particular elements, such as how to find the right partners, how to read the text, the call topic text, and how to interpret it, how to write the excellence section. And you sometimes refer to the excellence sections because that's where things come together. It's not only the excellent sessions, and I think that came out very clearly in your presentations also. It's throughout, it's impact, it's the dissemination, it's the involvement of the end users, and not only in terms of surveys or interviews, but by representatives, by speakers, by those who knows the group of end users in the proposal. So this is loops, this is moving forward step by step and upwards, and it's really a challenge. And we can invite you to not only focus on the evaluation, but understand the evaluation. And that's why your contributions today were really so crucial. And I thank you again for coming in and sharing your very personal way of approaching it, and also the problems that you might encounter when you discuss with more research-oriented partners who have less multi-actor experiences. And then go back to the details. Check again consortium building, check again reading, how to read the call topic text, and then drafting it again. And I mean, we are not, Premiere is not a project that really writes proposals or helps you to the outside world to write the proposals, but we can give hints, as we did today, a lot of insights, hints, ideas, awareness, things that need to be taken into account, and the connectedness. And that is really what Astrid emphasized. It needs to be consistent. Things need to fit together. the impact section, the different work packages, the budget, with the overarching methodology. And in the middle sits impact, with how to make the long-term impact even beyond the project. And that's exactly why the Commission expects proposals to have this involvement of representatives of the end users in the proposal phase, in order to say that's important to us or that's less important to us throughout the project work, and then think also in the future, how do we feed our lessons learned from the project into the future? So I think we've covered a lot of things. We are doing many things in Premiere. We have events, we engage with Astrid and colleagues in the policy area and the administrative area of these multi-actor projects a lot, because in practice, many questions come up, things might not be 100% consistent. We are still learning, everybody on the learning pathway. Nothing is set in stone. So we as a project, we engage with all levels of target groups, which includes policy proposal writers, newcomers, first steps. We have our seed funding testing at the moment ongoing, where we see how newcomers, and that refers to one of those questions, how newcomers actually perceive the situation in a multi-actor project. And what again can we as a support project learn from it, and which recommendations can we then, based on these experiences, give back to Astrid and colleagues so that they can maybe even help more newcomers, new areas, different way of approaching, and also the briefing of the evaluators of these particular complexity. So we addressed a lot. We not only conclude the webinar today, which is the number 6, and which was about putting your head into the shoes of an evaluator. We also conclude this series of webinar, which we will pick up towards the end of the year. And I can welcome and invite everybody really to follow Premiere. And if you have questions, ask them. We have our macro-regional representatives. If you come from the Danube and Eastern part, Mark is in charge and leads this contact base, this macro-regional hub. We have the Mediterranean hub for those coming from the Mediterranean area. Our SIAM team with Bernardo also and Beatrice, who are today in our call here, are in charge for those questions. We have a Northwestern team. University Galway is in charge for contacting with them, and the Baltic area is our Estonian partner Metke, who is there if you have particular questions from your area, because in these webinars we cannot address all questions, and some might be region specific, and you might need to contact and get personal advice. So here is Premiere, a lot to offer. Just contact us and we are really trying to answer your questions. Thanks a lot for today.